Hello everyone, welcome to Level Change channel. This is our first live stream with the 777 from Flight Factor on X-Plane 12. I'm going to talk about the airplane. I'm going to give you my honest comments. I have to start telling you that apparently, as far as I can tell you, people from Flight Factor, the developers, they are really nice. I got in contact with one of them, and they are willing to improve the airplane. So this is the best news that we have so far about the Boeing 777 version 2 from Flight Factor. Version 1, if you guys know Flight Factor, the version 1 for the 777 was a complete disaster. I never used that airplane because I could tell that it was not even close to the real airplane. This one is much better, a lot of room for improvement, but I can say that from the beginning, this is a good starting point. I don't see this as a final project, but or a final version for this project, but it is a good airplane. Why I believe we have a good airplane? Because many things are correctly modeled. Some things are not, but I believe that they can improve. And they have many other aspects that for people that are not real pilot or do not want to train or use the flight sim to train as a real pilot or something that you want to achieve in your real career, this is a good game because it's going to add some aspects that is going to immerse yourself into this airplane. It's not the way it happens in the real life. A couple of things are slightly different, are more automated in real life because you have more people working and you have certain standards from the companies itself. And on this airplane, if you use all the resources, everything is centered, let's say, on the captain. Yes, of course, in real life, the captain is the guy in charge, someone that is taking the decisions, but many things they have to happen without the captain input, and this is not the way it's been done in Flight Factor. But anyway, this is a good way to start. What I believe are things that Flight Factor could do differently, in my opinion. They create a wide range of options for these interactive controls and also a wide range of figures that they are even including more from time to time. However, their project is too big. So I would like to see Flight Factor right now focusing on the standard flight, on the normal flight, to make the normal flight, the standard flight, to be as real as possible. So I would like to see them eliminating a few issues that we are going to see on this video, and then I think they should start evolving towards the figures. Before we start the flight, I have to tell you that at this cycle in my real company, we are working with three major failures that this airplane can have. I tested two of them, and the two failures that I got, they are not even close to the real airplane. Maybe because they based the 300ER on the 200ER and it's not the same airplane. So first failure that I tried was a dual FMC failure, and basically on the dual FMC failure the system failed both FMCs, and you have no alternate navigation. All 777-300ERs, they have the FMC or the CDU alternate navigation procedures and pages. You can even use LNAV during a dual FMC failure. Everything that was on your FMC as points, the alternate navigation stores it, and you can still use it for your LNAV. And if you want to change or you want to add points, you can add those points by geographical coordinates. You cannot enter the names anymore, but you can tell the system knows the globe, and you can tell to the system any point in the world by coordinate, latitude and longitude, and it will set a route direct to that fix. It's much more complicated for the crew first to find this information, then to add the specific coordinate, and then to fly to it, but it is an option in real life, and sometimes you need it. Of course, if you are in an environment without, or better, with radar control, you're going to request for vectors, you're going to request for a simplified route because you do not have your normal navigation. However, the FMC is still there, and from the FMC, you have the option to set your navigation radius as well. This is one part of the alternate navigation on your CDU. So basically on the CDU, when you lose both FMCs, you still have alternate legs page, an alternate progress page, and an alternate navigation radius page, and you lose all of these in the flight vector, so they do not simulate alternate navigation pages. And then of course you do not have the LNAV active. Second failure that I tried was a leak on the center hydraulical system. Well, that worked I would say very similar to PMDG on the way that you can select this failure. On both cases, PMDG and flight vector, I think that this failure takes too long. So once you select, for example, a leak, you have to select where is the leak in the PMDG. In this case, in the PMDG, in which pump is the problem. In the flight vector, you can select the system itself. However, in PMDG and in flight vector, they take a while. I will say 15 minutes to give you a proper hydraulic system leak. Good point for PMDG in this case, that once you selected the leak to start, you can also drop the reservoir quantity, so you get that, I would say, system low pressure anytime that you want, just by dropping at the exact second that you want. You do not have, or I couldn't find these in the flight vector. So anytime you select a hydraulic failure, at least on the center, and I believe it's all the same for the left and right, is going to take you 15 minutes to have the actual failure. And this is a problem when you are training, because you want the failure at a very specific point. You cannot really predict 15 minutes before, because you don't know where you're going to be, especially if you want something after takeoff to simulate something that happened right after takeoff or during your rotation. For example, if you had a bird strike and maybe it hit some of the hydraulic lines or whatever. Anyway, you do not have the option to insert that failure at that specific point, or you would have to start, let's say, 15 minutes before. But then if it's right on rotation, you do not have that option, because you will have to be timing exactly 15 minutes and be rotating by those seconds, so it's a big mess. Okay, another thing, once you have this hydraulic center issue, the system does not behave like the real airplane at all. For example, you lose your flaps. So you use your primary flaps through the hydraulic center. However, you still have the secondary electric flaps, and this does not work on flight vector. If you want to extend your flaps once you have a hydraulic failure, you have to go to the alternate, which is the second option on the electric side. And this is not real. So You go from a hydraulic failure, not to have the electric one, only the alternate one for the flaps, and it doesn't work like this in the real airplane, even though, good point to flight factor, that you have the correct deferred items. Once you finish the initial part of the checklist, there are a few steps that you have to do while you are on approach, and those steps, they come on the approach checklist. This is amazing. However, if you comply with them, you still do not have your flaps because you have this problem. So in the end, even though the checklist is perfect, you cannot deal with the checklist because the electric flaps are not working the way we're supposed to be. Then if you go to PMDG, you do not have the deferred items. So on the approach checklist, you do not have the options to extend the flaps, and also you do not have the option for the alternate gear extension. So you pretty much, if you don't know the airplane, you don't know what to do, you don't know what to do with the checklist that come up. So you do not have this on PMDG. However, the system works. Once you lose the hydraulic center system, you still have your secondary flaps on the electric motor without using the alternate flaps. So I would like to see flight factor non-normal checklist onto PMDG airplane. That will be the best of the world. I don't know how difficult it is for PMDG to implement that checklist. They already said it is coming from Boeing and they cannot do anything, but they should at least talk to Boeing and have the new one, or ask permission from Boeing to change it, do something, because clearly Flight Factor did it and it's possible. However, Flight Factor needs to implement the system correctly. So on both sides, we have a problem for this hydraulic system center leak, for example. So at the end of the day, do not trust the Flight Factor for now on the no normals, even though they have a really great checklist. You're going to see that if you follow that checklist, things are not going to work properly because they are lacking modeling the no normal behavior of the checklist itself. Another thing, as I mentioned before, they have a really good tool to interact with the ground crew, the cabin crew, the first officer, even voice commands. You can request for flaps 5 or flaps 1 or whatever, and the first officer is going to give you that flap or that gear or whatever, or it's going to start anything on your airplane. You can talk to the FO and ask him to start the APU and so on, and the FO is going to do it. This is amazing. However, we have some bugs for the normal flight that they have to correct. So what I would like to see one more time is for them to fix these bugs and then try to implement these really good features that they want to bring to this airplane. So it's not bad what they are doing. Actually, it's amazing. However, I would like them to focus on the standard procedures, to have standard, how can I say, behavior right now. We have 3 people watching our live stream right now. If you have any doubt, if you have any comment, if you have any question about the Flight Factor, please send a message. I will try to answer as clear as I can, and I can even compare this to the real airplane and to the PMDG, because I think most of the people want to know, should I fly Flight Factor? Should I fly PMDG? I do not have PMDG. I do not have Microsoft Flight Simulator. I have X-Plane 12. Is this a good airplane for the X-Plane 12? I can answer all these questions based on my own perspective and tell you why. Okay, so I'm waiting for your questions and comments on the live chat. I have a screen here on my left side. I can hear them. Or I can read them and talk to you, okay? I just updated to the latest version. We are now on 2.5.10. As you can see, every time that you update, you get this screen. And then I always keep this widget at and they start. So this first thing, this thing on the left side, show this widget next time. I always keep it marked because I can work from the beginning to tell the system what I want. So like in this case, I do not want the engine start running. And cold and dark type, I'm going to start from absolute today so I can tell you what you have to do in case you want to work with this airplane. Maintenance type. We have full manual, auto call equipment, per system, full automatic, or none. This is the type of interaction that you are going to have with the airplane that I told you before. If you want something more related to the PMDG side where you have to do everything, I recommend you to select none, and you don't really have to interact with the others. And I think this is the most simple and how we can compare with PMDG. So every other thing that we have here, they are nice. They are a good improvement to this product, but they are not quite as real as it is in the real airplane. It's something that I will say it's more like a game than I would say a real thing, but you have this option. Okay, so and how you deal with that, you have many options as well. So I'm not going to focus on this. Maybe in the future I can bring to you how would be the best way to simulate those things. But I want to see first that the problems that we have in this airplane fixed before I can go to the next step. Okay, so this is going to be known for failures. So you're going to see that I say never fail anything, no interflight fail, and so on. And I'm flying from the left seat as captain, so here is fly from the right seat. If you want to fly as first officer, you have to press here. I do not want, because I change start with engines running, I have to reload the system. And here we are. We are going to reload the flight factor. If it works, yeah, now it's reloading. Because these start with engines running and so on, you have to, I would say, they have the system to reload. As you can see, the airplane comes with some liveries as well. This Formula 1 livery by Qatar Airways is amazing. So now, start with engine running is not marked, and I have absolute cold and dark, and I can start. There we go. If you do like this, you are going to be in the front of the airplane. First thing that I didn't know, and something that is really important for you. On this airplane, you have an EFB. The EFB is very similar to the real airplane. However, you have many more options that Flight Factor include for you to be able to work and bring all the accessories that you can have with this airplane. However, if anytime you go to your Boeing 777 menu here on top, and then you set equipment, for example, and I need a stair to go up this airplane, anytime you press anything here, it's going to show automatically at that specific time. So once you have access to the EFB, you can call from the EFB. If you do not have access to the EFB, or you want something to happen instantly, you come here and then you just select it. For example, I want main stairs. If you press main stairs, the main stair just show up. Okay, so this is the first thing that you have to know. Let's say that you want, we are going to need really soon the primary and secondary GPU. If you request through the EFB once you are inside, it's going to take some time to bring, simulating like a real-time operation, but if you press here, it comes automatically. So we have the primary, and I also will need the secondary GPU. This is quite hot today in Muscat where we are today, so equipment I need air conditioner 1. So, and then the air conditioning 1 just show up here, and it's already connected to the airplane. Another thing, if you want to move here, you have in X-Plane the W key is assigned to your main, to return to the center of your main view. But once you press W here, the whiskey key, you are going to be moved to the next step. So in this case, it goes up, shows you everything, gets inside the airplane. You can move your camera around, but you can keep pressing W. It goes to the next step. You see, then you can press W again. It goes close to the door. Then you press W again. It opens the cockpit door. Then you press W again. Then you are inside the cockpit, like standing up, okay? And here you can start your preliminary if you want. So you can move around, and in this case, for the preliminary, we need battery on. Then you check a couple of things like your hydraulic pumps. They were supposed to be in this configuration. The engine hydraulic pumps, they are never turned off. Wipers. What else that we have here that I can remember? Gear down, alternate flap master is off. So everything is correct at this stage. So we can take our primary and secondary, and also APU gen is supposed to be on all the time. IFE pass and cabin utility, window heats, they are supposed to be on all the time. Also trim air. All of this usually is left on from your previous flight. So I'm just taking things to the position they were supposed to be. And I think we are okay. So this was the power up. And then you press whiskey again and you go to your chair. So from here, you can start working as a pilot. I have a few cameras here that I introduced before when I was dealing with this airplane. And as you can see, you are going to have powered up really soon. I don't know why you don't have the simulator audio. I'm going to give you this simulator audio right now. There we go. And from the headphones I also want, yeah, now it's all correct. Okay, so in a few minutes we are going to have the power up for this airplane. Another good thing about the flight factor, X-Plane and Spire Next application that I use is that I was able to set up my glare shield and everything the way it's supposed to be. And even the Sim App Pro for the wing or wing control or wing control FMC, it's updated and I have my FMC working. I'm going to give you an example. So if you see right now, you can see that my glare shield is working, okay, and also my FMC is working the way it is supposed to be. So everything works with the flight factor, okay? You just have to make the configuration. So good point to flight factor at this time. Next step, we did the pre-flight, or sorry, the power up. We are going to do the preliminary pre-flight now, and at this time we have to check maintenance. As we have to check maintenance, we check maintenance on the EFB. Let me see if I can, oh, I don't, yeah, that helps a lot to see my EFB. So airplane, failures control, and we can reset all the failures. So everything is supposed to be good. Next step, we can go to ADDO emergency lights, and voice recorder. Then we can go to status. One problem with the flight factor, before I select the ADIRU to on, if I go to the status, I'll have the ADIRU status message. This is not like the real airplane, because the airplane knows that the ADIRU is off, so it does not take as a faulty issue. Okay, so they have to remove this ADIRU message from the beginning of the flight. But hydraulic quantity is correct, oxygen is correct. For the APU, without starting, I can take it to the on position, and we were supposed to have the information about the oil for the APU. Now we have, as you can see, oil 11.0, which is perfect. Everything is correct, so I can take this to off again. Another way to do it is to go all the way to your aft overhead panel and select APU maintenance to test, and if you go all the way down, you have the same information. So up here, close, this is going to go back to normal, and then as you can see, you do not have the information anymore. So two ways that you can do this. It's like the real airplane. You have this in the PMDG, you also have this in flight factor, very well modeled by flight factor. The next step, oxygen is already checked as well, and then the engine oil quantity is checked. You have to check that you have the correct ICAS message. So hydraulic pressure system left plus right plus center, it's correct. Navigator inertial, it was not supposed to be here now, if I'm not mistaken. You were supposed to have the time to align. I'm not 100% sure about it, but I have my notes here, and I can tell you what is the correct behavior. So if I have my 777 guide that you can find on the link description below, you can go to standard messages after each phase of flight. So navigator inertial is not supposed to be there, okay? Yep, anyway, fuel pressure engine left plus right, TCAS off, back left and back right. Brake source makes sense because we do not have hydraulic pressure. Landing altitude, cargo aircraft air conditioning forward. This one, it is because is the forward, right? So the forward is this one, and this one, let me see again, which one? Cargo air conditioning forward, which is this one. You are not supposed to have this failure because this was supposed to be on a specific position, which is off. Let me just check the air conditioning page. Now it's off, so cargo air conditioning forward was not supposed to be here anyway. Another failure. And then door entry 1 Lima, that is correct. Maybe you have doors if it's more than one door open. The next one, and yeah, those are the only messages that you have right now. Another problem here, once you load the airplane, you do not have the ICAS engine shutdown. We were supposed to have engine shutdown on this list. I noticed that once we complete the flight and you shut down the engines after the first flight, the message is there. So it seems to me that Flight Factor has this engine shutdown message modeled, but it only happens once you shut down the engines, and is not considering that the engines, they are already shut down. So first you need to start the engines, and then let's say once you shut down the engines after running for the first time, the message works. But at this point we were supposed to have engine shutdown message on ACAS, and it's not there. Another mark for flight factor to correct, and shouldn't be difficult for them to do it. Then on the memo messages, we have the A0 align mode, that is correct. Door manual, parking brake set, and recirculation fans off. This is all correct. With this done, Captain was supposed to set parking brake. Yes, parking brake is set. We can do the walk around. I'm not going to do the walk around, but if you want to do, you can come here on the airplane, walk around, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to check all to say that the walk around was complete. Okay, not a big deal. We are not doing the walk around. Good, I would say in airplane here, good function for the walk around. If you click on the right side on the bigger button, it's going to take you all the way to that position, and if you click on the smaller button, the system is going to tell you what you have to check. So really good for the walk around. Note one thing, you are looking to the airplane from the bottom, so you can see the landing gears, because landing gear is something that you check on your walk around. So everything that is on the right side is actually the left, as you can see, left 2 door, for example. And if you go no, walk around, and then if you go to the right side, you're going to see things on the right side, which is actually on this picture on the left side. So as you can see, R1 door and so on. So here, when you see more the left side, means that you are on the right side because you are seeing from the bottom, and once you click left side, you're going to see things on the right because you are seeing from the bottom. It's just the way that they did. It's not a big deal. It's something that you just need to pay attention to it. However, this is the opposite from if you go to ground service. Now on the ground service, you are seeing the airplane from the top. So right side means the right side, and left side means left side. So not a big deal. Just remember, on the ground service, you see the airplane from the top. You can see the cockpit windows here, and you do not see the landing gears below the wing. If you go to the walk around, it's the opposite. You do not see the cockpit windows, but you see the landing gears. Is just the way they did to implement this. However, on both you can see the tail of the airplane, including the vertical stabilizer. So I believe that in this picture the vertical stabilizer was not supposed to be here, but also you have to check. So I don't know, I would change to the same view as we have on the ground service and include the landing gears here anyway, and all the other doors that you may find in the walk around. So here they actually only included the landing gear. So mirror that this picture and like this one, and include the landing gear. It's going to be good on both of them, and you have the right side on the right side, the left side on the left side. Cool? Just my opinion. This is not wrong. So I showed you how it is. It's not a big problem. You just need to pay attention that you are seeing the correct one depending on which screen you are. So we did the walk around, and to do the walk around we have the navigation lights on usually, and this is in bright most of the time, and that's it. So this is done. We can start working on our FMC. But before start working on the FMC itself, it's a good idea if you go to your external services, Navigraph service, and get data from SimBrief. So they are going to get all the data, and today we are Emirates 123 from Muscat to Dubai. And then here you have briefing and so on. So if you go to the briefing, you have navlog and everything. I did not select NOTAM, so NOTAM is not here. Perfect. Why I did this initially? Because if you do this, you can have like data link working for this airplane. So we have the 777-300 G9115PL, and at this time, Renato Sampaio sent us the first message. This aircraft was built for 777 captain pilot, maybe? I don't know what you mean, Renato Sampaio, and by your name, maybe you are Brazilian. If that's the case, you can write in Portuguese. I answer to you in Portuguese, no problem, and then I reply in English for the other followers. Renato, se você é brasileiro, quer mandar em português aí tua mensagem, eu te respondo em português sem problemas, porque eu não entendi a sua mensagem ali, tá? E depois a gente volta pro inglês. Hello, 83 Suga 605. Hello, welcome to this live stream. So I'm going to continue on the FMC as Renato sent more information, so I can reply to him about what he asked or what he meant from that message. So database, it's the active and the non-active, they are always the same here. Maybe they can implement something in the future, but this is good enough. It's already better than PMDG for this part of the FMC. It says enter inertial position. I can clear that and then go to position initialization. We are at Oscar, Mike Sierra, Muscat. And then we are going to use the GPS position for our inertial position. Then I can go on route, and let's see if route request works, because we have now everything loaded in our EFB. By the way, it's something similar on PMDG. You don't need to load, but you need to file your SimBrief first. So perform a init uplink. We are not going to use, but flight number uplink, that's fine. Route 1 uplink ready, and then we can load. Let's see the information that we get. Muscat, Dubai, UAE 123, this is okay. Only problem here, it does not load runway. Okay? Something that I have to tell everybody, and PMDG is modulating this correct, flight factor it's not. You do not have vertical navigation loaded to your FMC, so you do not have runway, you do not have SID, you do not have arrival. Everything that you get for your route is, or are the airways, your route itself. You do not have departures, arrivals, and you do not have runway, so runway was not supposed to be here. So I'm going to read in Portuguese, answer Renato, and then I explain to you guys in Portuguese. Eu disse a ti, ele foi construído por um piloto de 777. Não perguntei, foi uma afirmação. Sim, Renato, ele, na verdade, um dos desenvolvedores, ele é piloto real, e ele fez o ground e fez o simulador do 77, mas ele não é piloto de 77, tá? Ele pagou da carteira dele, da grana dele, ele fez o curso, mas ele não é piloto real de 77, ele não voa o 77 na vida real. So Renato is saying that this airplane was built by a 777 pilot. This is correct. This guy is a real pilot, and he paid his type rating on the 777, but he's not flying the 777 in real life, so he used his experience on the sim, which is amazing, to try to bring some things to the simulator. But he does not fly the 777 in real life like I do and like many others. So I'm not telling you that everything that I say is the way you're supposed to be. I'm telling you what I see from real life operations and things that flight factor can improve. I do the same in PMDG, and at any time on this live stream, if you have any doubt if this is the correct way, if the PMDG is the correct way, if flight factor is the correct way, or what is the correct way in the real airplane, you can ask and we are going to discuss it about it. Okay, so beleza, Renato? Eu falei com um dos desenvolvedores também, não com o que é piloto, e são gente finíssimas, tá? Mas ele não é piloto real dessa aeronave, ele fez só o simulador. Okay, so one more time. The developers of this airplane, they are really amazing. I did not talk to the main developer. I talked to another developer, and as I said in the beginning, they are willing to improve this airplane, which is amazing, and they are doing a good job, a great job. If you think about how was Flight Factor 777 version 1 to Flight Factor version 2, this is a huge improvement, and this is already an airplane that I would fly. Okay, if you know what I mean, I would fly this airplane, even though I'm here to show you, I would say, the bugs of this airplane, so maybe they listen to this live stream and they go step by step and they improve. That's my goal here, so they can improve this airplane, and then I can also use this airplane on my own benefit. So I'm not here to criticize, I'm not here to tell, oh, this is a good or this is a bad airplane. I'm just here to tell you what is right, what is wrong, and when it's something that maybe they are doing in a way that is right but is not the way it's presented in real life right now, I will also tell you. It's let me try to reread this name again. IT3S Yuga 605. Se eu sou piloto da Latam, não sou piloto da Latam. Eu vou fora do país, vou 777-300 ER, que é esse, o 200 LR e o 200 cargueiro. So this guy asked if I'm a Latam pilot from Brazil. No, I'm a 777 real pilot from Brazilian, but I work out of Brazil. I fly the 300, which is this version, the 200 LR and the 200 freighter. And for the 300, I only fly the 300 ER, which is exactly this version, 777-300 ER. Okay, thank you for your message again, Renato, and man, I'm here, tô aqui, tá? Qualquer coisa, manda mensagem aí. So, let's continue. You do not get the runway, okay? So, that's the only thing that they shouldn't bring here. Next page, it is correct. As you can see, there are no departure, there are no arrival, we only have our route. So, the only thing that is wrong here is that the system is not capable to load the runway, something that the pilot needs to do. Okay, so I'm going to activate and execute this, and then today I'm going to take this for our another thing that I can do here, I can take this EFB out, and then I can take the EFB here. No, this size, yes, and then I move here so we can work with the EFB for now. Then everything that I find here we can have. So if we go to briefing, flight plan overview, not the overview, IK of flight plan, we have ITLAC 1 November. So I go to departures and arrivals, departure from Muscat, runway 26 right for now, ITLAN 1 November. No ITLAC. Yes, ITLAC 1 November. It's selected. Then I go to legs page, and as you can see, another thing that actually even PMDG was not able to do it perfectly. Once you select one fix after the other and they are the same, they were supposed to be combined in only one. Okay, so this ITLAC does not exist. So instead of ITLAC, we were supposed to have ITLAC Mixon. Now I can execute. I already have an arrival here in pad 3 Charlie, so I go to departure and arrival in Dubai. I don't really know which runway is in use, so let's see on our navigation log if it mentions which runway. It does not mention. So flight plan overview. Where is my OFP? How can I find my OFP? It's supposed to be here in briefing. So I do not have my OFP, flight plan overview. It doesn't really mention the runways, you see? Anyway, why I prefer to start with the runway? Because once I have the runway selected, it's going to sort the stars only for that runway. In this case, I need to go imped 3 Charlie, which is this one. And then as you can see, I have ILS 30 left and 30 right. I'm going to select 30 right, U.transition, and then if I go to the legs page, I want to see, now it's correct. From imped, there are no, how we say this, no discontinuities, and we have the whole arrival all the way to runway 30 right, including the missed approach, and I can execute. That's it. So our route is correct. I can make a route copy now, and then I go to perform initialization. We have this information here. I'm going to reject because usually we do it from our OFP. So reserves. Final reserve is 2.8, but I do not want final reserves. I want FMC info, which is final reserve plus alternate 5.8. So 5.8 on the final reserves. That's another thing by Flight Factor. This is completely wrong. You can enter reserves, you can enter cruise altitude, whatever you want. At this page, of course, is going to give you some notes if you have something wrong. Let's say that I set here flight level 430, which is maximum for this airplane. Okay, it says maximum altitude is 309, which is incorrect for 2 reasons. First, it should give me the altitude here. It should allow me to set that altitude anyway. And if that altitude is a problem, then you give me the message. Like in this case, maximum altitude 309 is impossible for the airplane to know because you did not set a zero fuel weight yet. So this message can only come once you have a zero fuel weight inserted. But even without the zero fuel weight, you were supposed to be able to set any altitude here. If I set 300, for example, 300, it says descent forecast uplink ready only when I set this altitude. This is also wrong. Wind data uplink ready, this is also wrong at this point, and allows me to select 300. So 430 was supposed to be allowed to be entered. Okay, so once you enter something that is higher than the maximum altitude, the system still should allow you to do it and give you the message telling you that is not correct. However, one more time, because you do not have a zero fuel weight, this message is completely wrong at this stage. Okay, Renato says, Fonseca, what difference between cruise CG and max CG? Where I'm checked this information. Okay, so Renato, 2 things. Let me see if I can find here on the EFB, maybe airplane weight and balance. I'm not going to use simplified for now. I'm going to use it later just to show you the CG summary here. So here we have 2 things. First, we need to understand that we have 2 types of CG, or 2 important CGs that we have for these or most of the airplanes. One is the zero fuel weight CG, which means where the center of gravity is positioned once you load everything on your airplane apart from the fuel. So once you load everything but the fuel, this is the CG has a position, so your center of gravity will be in a certain position of this airplane. Right now it is at 30.4. Okay, so once you have everything loaded but the fuel, this is the zero fuel weight CG. The zero fuel weight CG is in percentage. As you can see here on the FMC, cruise CG 30.0%. So this is the percentage, and every time you are entering this information on the FMC, they want the percentage of that CG. But also, this CG has a physical position. In this case, this CG is 104 114 feet from the pressure center. So it's 114 feet behind the pressure center. And this is the max CG. So max CG means mean aerodynamic chord. So once you take, you go to, I would say, performance classes, and once you talk about flight theory, you have the mean aerodynamic chord, in Portuguese, a corda média aerodinâmica. And once you position your CG, once you actually, not your position, once you load, you are going to see that your center of gravity will be in a position of that mean aerodynamic chord. And that is the point. So that's what you have actually. You have this point, and then you use just a conversion to bring this number to a percentage, because it's much more simple to work with a percentage of then mean aerodynamic chord than to use a specific number for it. So he says, in perf init we check that cruise CG. We not configure this, for example, on the 737. Yes. Another thing, Renato, that I want to explain people here and to you. So, once you start a flight on your FMC, you will have a cruise CG percentage here. This cruise CG percentage will always be the same. In the company that I fly, the 777-300ER, this is always set to the most forward. So every time that I open my FMC, I will see here on the 300ER 7.5%. This is the most forward CG, which means this is the worst possible CG for the airplane. So everything that I have on FMC is going to take into consideration the worst possible loading. So everything that you have information about maximum altitude, speeds, maximum and minimum speeds, they are with reference to the worst CG position. However, we do not fly at that point. We do not have the CG at the most forward. As you can see here, most forward is 7.5. You can see this is a line of 5%, so 7.5 is the most forward CG that you can have on the 777. So my company keeps the standard Boeing 7.5 in here. So everything that the FMC is giving you, it's giving you conservative values for your maximum altitudes, speed, and so on. However, the company that I fly, and many companies around the world, they also prefer to work with a more reliable value, and not that conservative as 7.5 for this airplane, for example. So what my company does, my company takes the zero fuel weight CG, let's say in this case is 30.4, and subtract 2 units. So from 30.4 it goes to 28.4, and then my company enters this value here as 28.4. What they want from this? They want to be conservative, but not that much, because you are telling the system, okay, or you know that your zero fuel weight CG is 30.4, and then you use 2 units to be conservative, because you know once you are burning fuel, you will never reach less than 30.4. So you already select 28.4, which is much better than 7.5. And then you still have some conservative values and more accurate to your current load. So this is all about CG. The second thing, if you are going to talk about the takeoff, they do not want the zero fuel weight CG, the CG for your load without the fuel. They want your actual one. They want the zero fuel weight plus your takeoff fuel. So this is going to be a slightly different CG, and this is the CG that you enter, for example, in this takeoff page. So this is the takeoff CG, and if you go to the performance, by standard, by Boeing, is supposed to be 7.5. I don't know why it does not allow me to enter 7.5. You see, it does not allow me to enter Actually on the 200 is 14, so maybe it allows me 14. You see, is another thing. And I'm going to write here. So on the 777, 200, maybe you cannot see. How can I do it bigger for you, maybe? Let me see if you can see this now. I'm going to write and then you are going to check. On the 200 LR and on the freighter, the minimum CG is 14. Because they base the 300 on the 200, this is the information that you get on the FMC. However, the 300 ER, the minimum CG is 7.5. Okay, so for the 300 ER, 7.5, for the 214. As they did this airplane based on the 200 ER or the 200 version, the system is not allowing you to select anything less than 14. So this is another mistake by Flight Factor. They should review this. They already reviewed, in my opinion, the CG information on the loading page. As you can see, it goes to 7.5 as I just showed you, and I'm going to show you one more time. So they already did it. They changed it to this information to 7.5, but they did not correct the FMC to reflect that change. So if you have the 200, at least LR and the 200 freighter from that variant, okay, if you have that airplane, you are going to see that this information about the CG does not start at 7.5. Actually, this is 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25, so it starts from 14. So you're going to see that the limit for that airplane, the CG, is where I have my mouse right now. And that's something that they have to change on the performance for the FMC here. We have more. This means that this value is average. When fuel was consumable for aircraft aboard flight, the CG changes to reach this average. It's not an average. One more time. Let me try to change to my camera here and give you a bad... okay, maybe here you are going to be able to understand. Maybe here you can see. So, let's think about an wing here. So on this wing, after they make all the certification and calculations and so on, they mentioned that the CG needs to be from here to here. So this is the point where you can have your CG. So your center of gravity, once you load the airplane needs to balance between these two lines that I created on the wing. For the 200, this is 14. For the 300, this is 7.5. Okay, and if you want to do it correctly, let's say that this is the CG envelope for the 300, and this would be the 14, and this would be for the 200. So for the 300, you have all this area. For the 200, you only have this area, and this goes to the most aft, which is something close to 45. We are 0.0. We are always talking about percentage, okay? Once you have everything loaded in your airplane, apart from the fuel, crew, cargo, passengers, and so on, you are going to have your airplane balanced in a certain position. And let's say that the airplane was balanced here, okay, in this position here. So this position will give you a CG, like in this case 30.4, just assuming 30.4. so this is this position for the CG. Once you enter your fuel for the start of the flight, this CG, whoops, this is moving, this CG will move from here to, let's say, here, and this is your takeoff CG, which means in this case is slightly aft and slight up because you have more weight, and is slightly aft because of the position of the fuel tanks. So the takeoff CG, let's say, is going to be 31.8%. So which means during the flight you are going to, if you were supposed to burn your fuel all the way to zero, you are taking off from here, and at some point you are going to reach this point. However, my company tells us, okay, this is the minimum point that is going to reach during flight, so we consider 2% less, and instead of using 30.4, we use 28.4. So this is not average. You start like here, and once you start consuming fuel, you are going to be losing weight, so your weight is going to drop, and based on the position of your fuel, the center of pressure and everything on this airplane, you are going to move towards your, let's say, zero fuel weight CG. Got it? I hope you understand what I mean. So it's not an average. You have a specific point at takeoff, then you start losing weight, and because you are also losing this fuel, you are consuming this fuel, you are going to start losing weight, and of course, because you have this less weight in the tanks, this is also going to change your CG slightly, up to the point that if you were able to fly until you reach zero fuel, no fuel anymore, then your engines go bye-bye. At this point, you will be at zero fuel weight CG. So it's not an average. There are two different positions, and we know that in flight, our CG is going to vary from here to here. So this is the point of our CG information. Okay? I think you got it. So I'm going to change so far to 28.4. This is not going to change anything, but this is good for us to know that it is wrong in the FMC as well. In the PMDG, you can take the 300 to 7.5 and the 200s to 14 as it was supposed to be. Let's go back to our briefing, and then I was talking about weights. So let's enter our zero fuel weight of 178.1, and from this one, as you can see, now I'm able to select up to maximum ceiling of this airplane 430. Oh, it says 409. Okay, I still have some weight that is not going to allow me to go all the way to the maximum, but as you can see, it already changed. Now this message is correct. However, it was supposed to allow me to set 430 anyway, and then give me this message. As you can see, now that I entered the zero fuel weight, it allows me to enter 5.8 of reserves, and this was supposed to happen before. Okay, another problem by flight factor. So our cruise level is 200 today. It's a very short flight, flight level 200. Cost index, it's 15. Not a big deal, it's a really short flight. And then we go, step side is supposed to be on RVSM. I think most of the companies, they would like to see RVSM from standard, so should be RVSM, not ICAO. Then thrust limit, we are going to take it before. VNAV is correct so far. For the descent on forecast, I can load the descent forecast. Fix, we are going to work with that soon. Route data, we are going to load the winds. It was supposed to take more time before getting me the activation button, execute button, but it's not a big deal. And then from fix page, I'm going to use on page 2 Oscar, Oscar, Mike, Sierra. And on page 1, I'm going to use runway 30 right. Another thing, this is not only 30 right in the real airplane, you're going to see RW30 right. And another thing, if I do like OOMS3, not 30, here they have runway 26 left or right, for example. If I do this in the fixed page, it takes me to the Muscat runway 26 right. I tried this in the rear airplane because I never saw it before. I only saw in the flight factor manuals and I was unable to do it. I cannot here tell you that this is incorrect behavior. I've never seen in the real airplane. I was unable to do it. Maybe it's a function that the airplanes that I fly do not have. So I cannot tell you that this is wrong. But anyway, this is a good feature. Not future, a feature. This is a good feature for this airplane. Because on this one I can use 25 miles ahead on the heading. What is the heading of this runway? If we go to terminal chart, use from FMC, and then I go to Muscat Airport, and our departure heading is going to be, how can I zoom in? Yeah, 263. So I can set 263/25. This would be my engine out point, and it's something that we can do. Not on the real airplane though, but anyway, this is something that we can do here on Flight Factor. So if I have any problem, 26 right, but why is not taking there? Why it says not in database? I copied this information. No, I have to use 26 right. I have to do like this. I have to do the entire way. So OOMS, this does not work in the real airplane. So 26 right, 263/25, and then it works. And I could be holding there. Right turn, 5 miles, and so on. This is not the way it works in the real airplane, but you can work here, and it's a good feature that you can use on your fixed pages and so on. So I'm going to erase this because we don't need. And another thing on fixed pages, altitudes are not working, and times are not working here. So those are things that they have to include on this FMC as well. Now in progress, if we go to briefing, and we have a distance of 239 miles against 244, which is correct. And fuel, we were arriving, we still have to load this airplane. So while we were doing this, the airplane was supposed to be loaded. I'm going to simplified loading. I'm going to use simplified zero fuel weight, and I fuel from SimBrief, and I will load the airplane now. We have a different zero fuel weight. So CG summary, this is the Mac view. This is the thing that I can show you now. I didn't know that we have this option. So as you can see, this is starting 7.5% up to 44. That's the limit, and here are the position that we have those things. So I'm assuming this to be the current one, the landing, and I don't know, but anyway, Those are the informations that we have. Let's see in the weight summary if we have different information for the zero fuel weight. This is only the actual one, we do not have. Let me see if I can select zero fuel. Oh, zero. Yep. Then we have zero fuel weight CG of 27.4. So then I can come here on my index performance and set 25.4. This would be the procedure for my company. And then I will load from sim brief and load the airplane instantly. That is perfect. So basically my FMC is almost done. I can stop working with this, and we have another question. Fonseca, about noise abatement departure procedure. Renato, I have a few videos about it. I'm going to do another one really soon on my series about the 777. But in Muscat we do not have, at least as far as I'm concerned, we do not have. Let me see if I can EFB, show EFB1, and terminal charts, short clip, if I edit, airport briefing, complete. Let's see if there is something related to the airport briefing. So noise abatement procedures here. If there is something here, I'm going to enter, okay? So runway not compliance, okay, ceiling, blah blah blah, crosswind, it doesn't specify. When is not required. Arrivals, okay. Next, departure, noise abatement procedure, takeoff procedure, reach 3000 feet KFE, which means above airport elevation, according flight manual, as soon as possible. So they want it as soon as possible. So the best way to do this is not to accelerate as you are climbing out of Muscat until you reach 3000. So what we are going to do here on the takeoff reference page 2, instead of accelerating at 1000 feet height, which is the same as QFE, we are going to change this to 3000. So at 1000, sorry, here at 1000 we are going to have thrust reduction, but we are not accelerating our airplane to 250 knots. Okay, and this is the NADP1 that is specified for turbojets. Apply NADP1. So NADP1 means not before 800, but complying with your company, which in this case is 1000 feet. So I'm complying with my company, I'm above 800 feet. At this point I have thrust reduction, and then I'm not accelerating until I'm 3000 feet above the airport. This is NADP1. So here is 3000. Okay, this is the noise abatement for this airport. I didn't remember about it. Thank you, Renato, for letting me know. And you can set this on the flight vector, at least an ADP1. Let me see if we can set... Yeah, this is wrong. We cannot select the flaps 5. Yeah. It was not supposed to allow me to enter 5 feet. It was supposed to allow me to enter only flap 1 and flap 5. So when I entered only 1 or 5, this was supposed to be the flap, not the feet. So in PMDG it works fine. On this one it does not work. So we cannot do an ADP2 automatically from this airplane. Most of the 777 buses that leave from the region where I leave depart in the early morning. I live in Europe and these procedures are very common. What document I can check? So this is the one that you can check for every departure. You have on your airport briefing charts by Jeppesen, or in the Lido chart you have somewhere that specifies what is the noise abatement that you have to follow. Some airports around the world, they publish on the SID itself. Like in Brazil, if you go to, for example, Brasilia. Then you open your SID, and your SID is going to be written what is the noise abatement departure procedure, NADP, that you have to follow. And then you need to know what is NADP 1, what is NADP 2, and so on. And this one you can find on the internet or in my videos about NADP. If you go on my on my YouTube channel, and you look for departure tips, or if you look for noise abatement departure, you will have a lot of content about it. Okay, so we set our noise abatement departure procedure as it is supposed to be out of Muscat. So this is done, and then the first officer comes back from outside. He does his pre-flight. So I'm going to start the APU because we are going to work or have this departure really soon. It's supposed to be auto all the time. Jasper's supposed to be on. Okay, what else I have here? Flight directors, TCAS is off, is already there. This is supposed to be on, and I like intent for this side. Everything else looks okay. Good in the oxygen. I'm not going to do the test. This FMC most probably is going to stay on the legs page, and then here we have something like, yeah, at this time something like this. On this side something like this. Transponder above at this time. This is supposed to be on, this is supposed to be on, this is supposed to be on. Data is correct. 121.5. And here anything, we are going to keep 122.8. Just any frequency here, and transponder usually is 2000. This is supposed to be in auto. Just want to this is unlocked. Okay, doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, you see, now it makes sense. Even if it's auto, I was supposed to be able to come on my cockpit door and work with it. The door is closed again. I don't know the reason. Anyway, something that they also have to check. So now we have auto brake message, because most probably the brake source is also on, but this is incorrect because our auto brake was supposed to be working. Anyway, we are going to check this later on. So here on the captain side, flight director, these are always on. Heading 263 for this departure. I think there's no altitude restriction, so we can set 20,000 feet. Speed we still don't know. This one we can reset. And how can we know the matter for this one? Can we have somehow is there anything on the map maybe that I can have information about Muscat? How can I have information about matter on this airplane? OOMS. Oh, it does not work, right? Yeah. Material check on acres. Yes. I was supposed to have this information here on H's. Any other way, Renato? You know that I can do it? Taxiway work in progress. Tweet. Okay, let's try. Flight information. Terminal weather. This was supposed to be taxiway work in progress, but now I think they are working with terminal weather information something. Okay, maybe it works, but I cannot send. Manager, acres link established. OOMS. It does not allow me to send. Yeah, I went there. Flight information, terminal weather information, something as they are using here anyway, but I do not have the send option. And then on the manager on the ACARS it says ACARS link established. I have everything here. I don't know. I don't know what is wrong. Log on to... Nope, that's not the case. So it was supposed to be here without it. This free text message also does not exist. Anyway, I'm going to use website. So I'm going to use here OOMS meta. And right now it says 340 at 10, 40 degrees, visibility 10. I need to know. Yeah, I did my hobby. It is here. And main menu, external service. Ah, it's not here. Okay, thank you. It was supposed to be here. It is not here. So I'm going to get my information again. I don't mind if you see it. So Hoppy, my logon code is this one. I'm going to copy. Usually, okay. And then, well, okay, up. Let's see. Let's see if it works. Right information, manager, ACARS. OOMS. I need to restart the flight. Okay, no problem. Okay, let's try this one another time. Not a big deal. I just want to take it from the internet here. Let me just turn off. I need to know pressure. Just want to know pressure. Pressure 1006. So I change this to hectopascal 1006. and I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to do the same on this side, and 1006 in here. I think everything else as it is supposed to be. This is our final load sheet. We can use this to calculate. So anyway, let's go here on menu, performance, copy FMC data, condition is dry, wind we can use 0, everything off, and we are going to calculate, wow, takeoff 2, 38, and takeoff 1, 61. Okay, makes sense. So one more time, show EFB, and we can set the thrust limit to takeoff 2, assume temperature 38, 96.4, 96.1, that is correct. Flaps 5, CG we have as 26, speeds 129, 132, 129, 132, and 136. Oops, 36. Cool. We don't need these anymore. So 136, I'm going to use my MCP here. It's all set. I can start working on disconnecting everything. I'm going to disconnect now from the EFB so you can see airplane ground service. So we don't need the star, and here we can take this off, and we can go back to remove GPU and shocks. So eventually everything got out. We can turn the packs on, and we can start working on our before start. Well, I didn't do pre-flight checklist, okay? So pre-flight checklist, oxygen is tested 100%, and flight instrument is heading 083, altimeter 1006. Pre-flight checklist is complete. Now I can work on my overhead panel. I'm already having TCAS off, cargo, AC, air conditioning forward, and door. How can I close those doors? Yeah, doors. Close. Close all cabin doors. Let's see if they... On EFBA cars you need to quick connect. Need to put takeoff gross weight too? No, not necessary. This is going to come once you take off. The weight that you have is going to populate automatically. And this one, why, I don't know. I can set to something, but it should be, if I select to off, yeah, it does not allow me to keep it in off, so I'm just select any temperature. This is supposed to be in the middle. This is supposed to be in the middle as well. Doors are auto, only TCAS off, and we can take this to transponder. So now we can do before start. Seatbelt signs are set. Look, look, flight deck door, it says is locked, but I am supposed to be able to come here and open this door. Here I need to unlock. Open. Come on, keep it open. I don't know why it's always closing anyway. Doors and windows are closed. This is not a flight deck door. These are all the windows and doors that we have here. How can I take these off now? Yeah, here. Anyway, and MCP V2136, LNAV and VNAV heading 263, 20,000 takeoff speeds, 129, 132, 136. CDU pre-flight completed. Trim. We need 5.5. 5.5, 0 and 0. Taxi and takeoff briefing is complete. Okay, so it was not necessary for the takeoff weight there. So the before start is complete, and I can use feather pushback. Pre-plan. I want to go here.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Call me through the menu when I'm ready.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Many. Okay. Anyway, we are almost ready to go. Lights showing was supposed to be, yeah, likes 1, makes sense. Initial reference, all correct. And as you can see, the auto brake message is not there anymore. We are all set.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Connect then. I'm ready to go. Ready to move. Wow. It's already 1 p.m. here. My God. This takes so long. This takes so long. I'm still learning about these cameras. I removed the parking brake.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
I did.
Starting pushback. And you may start engines.
And I may start the engines, okay. So, right to start. While we have engine information here. So problem so far, a few things on the FMC, the status page before we start the flight, checklist, especially things related to this door here, they are not correct, and a couple of things on the before taxi checklist as well. Everything else looks okay, and we are going to check the performance today of the VNAV because we are going to be high on approach. At some point I'm going to give, actually we are going to be on the profile, but I'm going to give a direct to see how the VNAV behaves on this airplane. Okay, right engine stable, left engine start. Drinking my coffee. So we discussed the CG things, FMC, a few things on the status and on the checklist. Everything else looks good for a normal flight. One more time, for a normal flight, it looks good. Okay, left engine is should have 247. 2 is coming up, 20 something, or something, and 70 something. This is 68.9. Something happened here on hydraulic pressure primary center. Backup.
Operation complete.
Let's see.
Set parking brake.
So I do not have it here. Parking brake set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
What happened here? Ah, this is supposed to be on for every flight. My mistake. I didn't check. This is supposed to be on for every flight. So now we can select flaps 5 and do the checklist. Anti-ice was not supposed to be on or out. It was supposed to be answered by the crew. Recall, it was supposed to be answered by the crew, but in here we have to press one more time. Auto brake is correct, and then flight controls I'm going to check. Faster than in the real airplane, just to make sure that we have everything.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Okay, now this one is working perfectly. I can keep this on airport map. Was supposed to already show up Muscat here because I'm departing from Muscat. It was supposed to know. Zooming in, menu, center of the airplane. Yep, that is perfect. So I'm going to taxi right on Victor all the way to runway 26 right. Okay, so flight controls were checked, ground equipment removed, it's clear. Before taxi checklist complete, let's see the camera. While camera is loading, we can taxi light on, and I'm going to taxi like this so I can see the camera. Brakes released, the airplane is supposed to move, especially with this weight. It is moving, yes, that is perfect. So first right on Victor. Getting camera off. You don't have to see me anymore. So we have Toga, Ionev, Inev, flight director. The two heading and altitude are set. We can do before takeoff checklist. Before takeoff checklist complete. Because I'm on the apron area, I'm not using more than idle thrust if I don't have to. So idle power for now. Airplane is moving. I keep it as it is. There is no need to increase power on this engine, especially in the ramp area. You can have jet blasts in positions that you are not sure what you have behind you. Stairs, people, cars. So if the airplane is moving like this, good enough. Six knots, good enough for this turn, no more than 10. And there you go, full tiller to the right, not even full tiller needed for this turn. Let's go back to the center position so we can get out on this taxiway. Straight ahead. Yep. Now we are on Victor all the way to the end. So now we are in a typical taxiway out of the apron. If we need, we can add a little bit of thrust. Why my thrust is not working? Guys, give me 1 second while I review my thrust options here. So okay, makes sense. Now it's moving. Okay. So a little bit of thrust, we can go up to 30 knots on straight taxiways. Can you explain the curves and the camera on the taxiways? Well, basically, 2 things that you can do, Renato. First, let's say I'm going to do 2 right turns here, if I may. Yeah, I can do 2 right turns here. So first thing, you want less than 10 knots for 90 degrees turns, okay? So I'm going to slow down to less than 10. Now, what you want to do, you want to look to this side if the turn is to the left. And once you see the taxiway center marking on the middle of this window, you can start the turn. And then you are going to use your camera just to verify the position of your wheels, but you don't really need the camera to taxi. So I'm going to wait it until it comes to the center of this. As you can see, it's coming to the center, and then I can do the turn, starting with full deflection, and then you just adjust your turn. To come and get out in the center of the taxiway. And then you use your camera to see where you are positioned. Okay, I'm going to do another 90-degree turn here to show you on the runway to the other side. So I don't really need the camera. All that I want is to look to the other side. Once the taxiway that I want to get out is in the middle of the number 2 window, window number 1, window number 2, I use full deflection on my tiller.
6. Right.
In this case to the right. So when the taxiway is right here in the middle, right here, then I can start turning, use full deflection, up to full deflection, and then you start those in your turn to come back and get out in the center of the taxiway. And then you are asking what's the inside reference that I know I'm the center of the taxiway. Usually the middle of the PFD and the ND. So if you keep, let's say, the line crossing in the middle, I can tell you that right now I am in the middle. If I go to the camera, slightly to the right. Something that I can tell you that you can do: position yourself in the center of the camera on your system. In the center of the taxiway on your system. So I'm there right now, as you can see, using the camera. If you don't have a camera in any airplane, you can go outside and position it. Where is the center? And then come back to your piloting position, and you are going to know. In this case, in the flight factor, I would say it's on top of my toga. Okay, so position yourself outside so you know where you are, and then look that reference on your cockpit. I would say in the real airplane is more around, to me, on the ground speed indication here. One more time. I'm going to get out here to the right. So when the taxiway line comes up here, no more than 10 knots. comes up on this position in the middle of the tack on the window. When it reaches, the yellow line reaches there, then I start full turn, and then I can dose my turn to get out as I need. Okay, that's the way we do in real life. So I'm going to do another left turn here. I was supposed to have a better camera. I don't know why this is happening. Anyway, we can do like this now. Two inside, not a big problem. I'm going to start reducing my speed because I want to enter this with my landing lights on, everything on, including my transponder. Okay, coming to the left. So landing lights on, runway turn off on, strobe on, everything is on. We are ready to go. We can start the turn. We don't need the camera anymore. Everything is good. Looks like that I'm outside, but I'm not. You see? I was not outside of the taxiway. On the corner, but not outside. This is a big airplane. Okay, we are ready to go. Let's see if at this time I will do my second takeoff on the flight factor, and the first one was a tail strike. I changed slightly my controls,
approaching 2
sensitivities.
right.
Okay, lining up. We have a lot of room for with this weight here in Muscat. Performance is not an issue.
On runway 26 right.
Align 55%. Release the tiller. Now we are only on the pedals. Thrust ref. That takeoff thrust. Thrust set. Wind coming from the right, in this case 80 knots is long gone. D1 and rotate. Positive rate, gear up, LNAV, can follow flight director.
26 right.
Thrust ref, LNAV, VNAV speed. Remember 1000 we are going to have thrust reduction, just reduce to climb 2, and we are going to keep this speed up to 3000 feet to comply with noise abatement departure procedure. Okay, trimming a little bit. Release the pressure on the yoke. Yep, as you can see, hands off. Let me keep there. We have some crosswind from the right. Okay, now airplane start accelerating. I'm going to pitch down, following flight director, and as I pitch down, the airplane accelerates. I have to trim and I have to retract my flaps. So airplane is accelerating, I start trimming. More than flap 5 speed, I can retract to flaps 1. More trim, because if I release the controls, the airplane is not accelerating or is going to pitch down to the speed that I was before. or pitch up, it depends. Now more than flaps 1 speed towards flaps up, I set flaps up, another pitching down, more speed, I'm pitching for more speed. As you can see, the airplane is accelerating perfectly. I still pitch down. At this time we can do the after takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist. Why my gear is still down? I don't know what happened. Anyway, it's complete and now the gear is coming up. For some reason my landing gear lever did not work, so I need to pitch down to accelerate to 250. There we go, accelerating to 250. Now as we reach 250 we need to pitch up a little bit. So you pitch up for what you want to maintain 250 knots. Now you trim. If you are trimming the correct position, you don't have to do anything else. The airplane is climbing just simple as that. So as I'm not doing anything, I can engage autopilot. Heading bug ahead. I forgot about the weather radar and the terrain on the first officer side. Turning right. Transition altitude here, if I go to VNAV, is 13,000 feet. Is the standard in the Middle East. 13,000 for transition, 15,000 for level, 13 for altitude, 15,000 for level. At 10,000 feet, airplane is going to start accelerating. In this case today 277, no turbulence, so seat belts can go to auto, landing lights off, runway turn off lights to off, taxi light to off, and it's all set. Some different cameras that I don't really understand on X-plane, so shift 4, it looks a good one. So we just departed Muscat going towards Dubai. Renato Sampaio say was better than the first takeoff. Yes, and then on this one I forgot the landing gear. It's not that I forgot. I set the landing gear to up, but for some reason it did not come up. Then I made a reset on my physical one and it worked, so not sure what happened. Flyby camera is shift 2, shift 3 is on the ground, shift 4 is this one, shift 5, shift 6, shift 7, shift 8, shift 9, shift 0 is back to our screen. So another thing, this was supposed to be entirely yellow, HPA was supposed to be in yellow as well, so 1016, we cross transition altitude, we can set standard. Left turn. LNAV looks okay, not a big deal to me, looks okay. Oh, and of course we need to set on both sides and also here, yeah. So as you can see, for a normal flight, a few bugs that if you're not a real pilot you can live with that. Speed, VNAV path, and our cruise should be 0.59, so this is our speed for today. Oh, I forgot the APU on. Yep. No electronics on, no electronics can also go to auto. Okay, let's talk about Dubai. Is there any way that we can go and connect, as you mentioned? Connect. Yeah. Maybe now I can go on comms. Yes. Now I can do it. Then I need Oriente Médio, Oscar Mike, Dubai, Delta Bravo. And send. Yeah, I would love to do it, man. Send me a message, Claudio Fonseca at hotmail.com on any message on any flight on how I can contact you, and you let me know when you have a flight. So at this point, new messages. Yep, we got the TAF. We don't really want. What we are looking for is the METAR. So wind is 330 at 11, so runway 30 looks okay. Cav okay, 41 degrees, 1006 as well. So I can pre-select 1006. And then we can have a look on our charts. Oops, chart clip for Dubai. I'm going to edit the clip. Airport info, hotspot and takeoff minimums I do not want. Maybe this apron is fine. Standard coordinates I don't need. For arrival 30 right and ILS 30 right. ILS 30 right. I can complete. So we are going to land 30 right, get out of one of the Mikeys, cross via Lima 4, Lima 3 to Concourse Charlie. Concourse Charlie, position Fox 7 is good for us. So Lima 4 or Lima 3, Kilo, all the way to Foxtrot 6. The arrivals, we are going to do this one. I'm going to fly from Imped direct to Delta Bravo 506 once we are done. And then I want to have this because I want to check ILS frequency 110.90, final approach course 229. That is perfect. Minimas we need 240 for category Delta. So I'm going to set to 40. Flight Factor plans to implement a shared cockpit for these aircraft in the future. That is going to be really good. We can do some flights together for sure. So minimums are here, and the missed approach is to 4,000. Everything is set. So I go to menu, performance, show landing, and then we can copy FMC Delta. Runway is dry on 30 right, reverse, non-flaps 30, brakes 3 should be enough. Landing weight, what is our weight? So we have 178 as 0 fuel weight plus landing with 7. 178 plus 7, 185. VREF additive of the standard 5. We calculate, we have 2,600 meters approach speed. Actually we have much more, but we are going to land in 2,600 meter. Approach speed is 138. So if we set 185 here, we just take this to the side, 185. Speed 128. Here was supposed to be already, it's calculating 5 on top of 5. So it makes no sense. Now is the correct one, 133. So this is wrong also on this performance calculation, but 128, now we are correct. So no comms anymore, we can do a recall. There is nothing, so we can do descent checklist. Recall is checked, notes are checked. Auto brake I didn't select, but we are going to land with brake 3. Landing data VREF 3128, minimums battle 240, approach briefing is complete. Checklist is done, and on the VNAV We have 67 miles to descend, and I want to fly one more time. Terminal chart, page up to INPED to 506. So I need to go. Let's see if we are going to keep high on this approach now from INPED to 506. 506 after INPED. It should give me the information with the modification. It doesn't do so. This FMC is not good enough. Anyway, still showing top of descent in 67 miles. Okay, not bad. Maybe because there were some restrictions that I didn't notice. Yeah, because this was 120 or below already, so it was calculating for 120 at 230 knots, and it is there. So that's why we don't stay high on this approach. But anyway, I will try to give us more shortcuts as we go to test the VNAV. Page down, and then menu, airport map. We are going to go to Oriente Médio, Dubai, heading up Armed, maximum zoom, and one out. This is the best zoom for us to go. I keep this in terminal chart. Once we land, it changes automatically to the moving map. There we go. VNAV. All done. All done. As I have this on the fixed page, we maintain 160 to 4, 180 to 10. And I need 25 miles for the MSA. So our speed we're going to reduce and maintain 180 knots at least until 10 miles, and then we maintain at least 160 to 4 miles. That's what we have here in Dubai. Okay, cannot really move, but yeah, a lot of sun today. The noise or the sound actually, the animation is too fast for the sound, but it's okay, you have something. Flight Pro 777, hello, hope you are doing well. Yes, I'm flying this airplane for the second time. I have to say I talk about some bugs that I found, most of them related to the FMC. A few things about the normal checklist, but from the before takeoff all the way to the end, the checklist is perfect. A few bugs actually only on the before start and before taxi checklist. Those are the two checklists that they have to change slightly. A few bugs on the system for the door. What else? And that's it for a normal flight. Status message. Few things on the status message before we start the flight, but not a big deal. And this airplane looks amazing for a normal flight. As I mentioned, if you are looking for no normal flight, then things can go sideways. But so far, those things. I'm going to make a note of this on my whiteboard here soon. And then I'm going to give my score for this airplane. I'm going to compare it to PMDG. I'm going to say what I think is good, what I think is bad. I kind of did it during the beginning of the live stream when nobody was watching, by the way. But some things that I want to highlight at the end of this flight, and maybe I can help you guys decide between PMDG, between Flight Factor, between X-Plane 12 or Microsoft Flight Sim and so on. So yeah, a few things that as a real pilot I can tell you, and also my experience with PMDG, with Flight Factor, and how these companies they handle many different things. As I can tell you right now, we have some bugs in the Flight Factor for a normal flight that they can easily correct. For a normal flight in PMDG, I don't see them. But the bugs in the Flight Factor, they are really small. For non-normals, oh my god. Then we have a big problem with the PMDG, which are the checklists. But so far in Flight Factor, I couldn't find a single failure that will perform as the real airplane. Even though they have good checklist and they have the CBs. Actually, you can pull the CBs. So let's go here. And if you go up, for example, if I take, let's say, the DME on the left side, and I pull this, my DME on the left side stopped working. So this is good. This is good. So this, I think, actually PMDG could do something like this. Maybe not all of them, but you know, start with a few, because people, they like to come here and play with these, even though in real life we don't do it. But let's say left weather radar, if I do it, which weather radar am I? Yeah, I'm supposed to be on the left. And then as you can see, I took the weather left. Did not work. Maybe I have the wrong indication here. My god, this. So this is in auto. Weather plus turbulence. Weather plus turbulence. Auto. I'm on the left one. Yep. It is not supposed to be variation. Okay, now the gain is correct. The tilt mode looks correct, but as you can see, this is not working. I turn it off. Let's see, left and right, and the weather radar is still on. See, so a few things that are not perfectly modeled. So I have to tell you guys, do not use Flight Factor for non-normals. Even though they have deferred items on the checklist, it doesn't work properly. But everything else for a normal flight, apart from the things that we are going to discuss at the end of the flight, they are okay. Gotcha, thanks. I noticed some other people saying the performance calculations are off. Most probably they are off slightly, not a big deal. I think, my opinion, for example, when PMDG launched, I don't remember if it was the 737 or the 777. I think they started with the 737 first. They did not have the performance calculator there. So they work on the airplane and then they work on the performance, or actually on the tablet that have the performance and so on. So my personal opinion, I think this is a really nice airplane, but Flight Factor tried to develop everything at the same time. Maybe they have different people for different tasks, but I do believe that this is a great product, but they have to focus on what is important. And what is important for me now is to get rid of the bugs that we have for a normal flight. Once they get rid of the bugs for a normal flight, then maybe work on the performance calculator for a normal flight, and then maybe works on non-normal, and then maybe, so go step by step. I think that they try to develop many things at the same time, and a few things didn't got the perfect as we are expecting from a real airplane, but it's not something bad. It's good. It's a good airplane. They just have to get small things properly done. The PMDG has one less variable, the severe atmospheric interference, in which X-plane 12 performs. Yes, this is correct. I use active sky. It helps a little bit, but I'm not worried about the severe atmospheric interference. I'm more worried about, let me see what are the constraints that we have. We need to go 120 or below, and then 3000 or above, so we go here to 3000. One thing that I like about the X-plane 12 is that the temperature effect on the atmosphere is visible, something that on the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 you need active sky to work the real one. So yes, I believe and I feel in my system X-plane is much faster to load, even though I never had crash to desktop on the 2024 and on the X-plane 12. So crash to desktop is not a problem, but the loading for the simulator is much better on X-plane for sure. Many things that you know, like this weather atmosphere, to have something more similar to the real life, you need active sky on 2024. So it's something that is going to load up on your system as well. On the other hand, on 2024 you have better visuals. I didn't do anything to the X-plane, so I know we can improve this one a little bit. However, on the Microsoft Flight Simulator I did not do anything as well. So I'm comparing the rare model of X-plane with the rare model of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So there are good and bad things on both applications. About the physics, well, my first takeoff was a tail strike on the 777 because the controls were a little bit odd, so I had to tune the controls a little bit, something that I don't do on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Does the airplanes on the Microsoft Flight Simulator work like a real airplane? No, neither do them on the X-plane. So physics, to me, I don't really care. Another thing that I don't really care are the sound. I'm talking to you here, I'm barely hearing what is on the TV. Of course I need some sounds for the non-normals, for a warning, for a master caution and so on, but about the engines, if they are too loud or not or whatever, I don't really care, and I'm not a good person to tell you about this. So I'm not comparing sound, and I'm not comparing physics, because I think those two things, it depends on how you perceive on those aspects and on your system. If you have a different yoke than I have, your settings would be completely different. The only thing that I notice is that Microsoft Flight Simulator and PMDG, plug and play. I don't set anything. Maybe my neutral zone, because sometimes there is a physical issue on my components here, so I just take the neutral slightly bigger, so I don't have any kind of command when I do not want my controls to be commanding anything. Otherwise I keep linear, straight, no differences. And here on the flight factor, sorry, on the X-plane, I had to change these controls from cubic or whatever that means to linear, and that helped a little bit. Yeah, add map enhancement to your simulator. I believe that's something that I have to do, but that's then on the Microsoft Flight Simulator benefit. I would say I don't have to do it. You get my point? Maybe I can get a beautiful X-plane, but I'm comparing raw material, raw simulator, raw airplane to the other one. Okay, so now we can go to 1006. 1006, and then approach checklist, altimeters 1006 set and cross checked. Let me take us straight to the final approach fix. low vol. Let's see if we get high slightly, because we were getting low. Nope, we are low. The airplane is still descending on VNAV path. This is slightly wrong. We will not be on VNAV path 35 miles from the final approach fix when we are outside the path by more than 150. You see? Now it's increasing the speed or the thrust to match the speed, and you are going to see that we get back to the speed and the thrust are going to go back to idle. So kind of slow to start adding the thrust because it was in the wrong mode initially. It was supposed to revert to VNAV speed and keep you on VNAV speed, and then once back on the path, revert back to the path. Small things, but not a big deal. We can live with that. It revert back to speed, now idle, and VNAV path. That is perfect. You do not have speed and VNAV path together unless you have a specific range of speed to maintain. Yes, they are developing a lot of things in the background, such as the 350 version 2 and 787. I think the 77 development is progressing nicely. Maybe in a year or so the flight factor will be fully polished. I hope so, and I believe that they have a really good product already. They just have to come up with those small fixes. I noticed that they did a few fixes. Actually, they launched, I think, 5 updates after they launched the airplane, but most of them, they were related to visual things that it doesn't really matter to me. This is my opinion. I think they were supposed to well, pay attention on more systems than the visuals. Anyway, seat belts, no electrics to auto, landing lights to on, turn off to on, taxi to on, and cabin crew prepare for landing. Renato Santos also agree. I agree with you. After Challenger 650, my best airplane. Yeah, it is already a really good airplane. Okay? If I say anything related and comparing to PMDG, it's just because PMDG is in a very, very mature level. But I also believe PMDG has a few things to improve. So let's see who gets there first. I'm still missing a couple of things for a normal flight on the flight factor. I think that they can get rid of these issues really soon. So then they are going to be on the same level for normal flights, and then flight factor needs to work a lot in the non-normals, even though they have a really good checklist. I always mention this because this is the problem right now with PMDG. So I'm going to get rid of my camera as we are approaching Dubai. Yeah, it's maintaining maximum speed. It gives me drag required FMC message. I can cancel. So yeah, good. It reverted to VNAV speed when it reached more than 15 knots above the speed that you want. But then really soon to VNAV path, and now it's going to go catch the path, and the speed is going to increase again, and it's going to revert to VNAV speed, and this is not the right way. Once the airplane reverts to VNAV speed, is because the path is going, and yeah, it's going to stay on VNAV speed for a while. It's not going to be jiggling up and down. Anyway, still on VNAV path now. It is supposed to maintain 255 on the speed, and then leave the path to get away from the desired path, and once it's reached 150 feet, then it reverts to the standard speed on VNAV speed, and then because it's also reducing 50 knots, you're going to get even higher, and then it doesn't move from one path to speed and path to speed and path to speed so often. Yeah, that's the thing. The 777, they have some things since FSX that they did it correct the first way, or they improve it with the years, and then they just move this to the new Microsoft Flight Simulator and they don't have any issue with that. That's what Flight Factor is trying to do now, and if you compare what Flight Factor was able to reach in a short period of time, it is amazing. It is amazing. I just hoped that they were going to copy PMDG in a couple of things, because if PMDG already did right and that's how the real airplane behaves, just copy that. You're not really copying the PMDG, you're copying the real airplane, but anyway, they are getting there. So as you can see, we are now back on the path. We have 25 knots headwind that is helping us to get back on the speed as well. At some point we need to start reducing, and 3000 will be by Delta Bravo 759. So we have, we'll say, roughly 5 miles to reduce the speed. It looks good. Looks good. 250 knots, 30 feet high. Another thing, this is changing from 30 to 20 in the real airplane. It goes digit by digit. So it shows 21, 22, 23, anything. Here on the progress, if you go to the deviation, here it shows 22. So this 22 would be showing here as well. Minus 21, minus 27. Instead of like 40, 50, it was supposed to show the correct value, but that's something that they can improve with time as well. So now the speed is dropping, including below flaps up speed. Very soon we are going to extend the flaps. So 230 knots, still reducing. So India, Delta Bravo Romeo is identified. I can arm the approach mode, extend the flaps to 1, and now open the speed window and select flaps 1 speed. Localizer was captured, really nice. And Flight Pro 777. I agree with you, Claudio. By the way, I love how you explain everything in detail. I did notice some VNAV quirks in the Flight Factor 777. Yeah, they are. Yeah, there are, but it's good enough. We can live with that. Glide scope capture, flaps 5. I'm pretty sure we are going to need some extra drag to keep the glide slope from now on. Let's see how it does. Yeah, but not a big deal, okay? This VNAV to me is not a big deal. And I'm always comparing with what we have. Because if I'm talking about the 777, I need to reference to the real airplane that is not perfect, and also to PMDG that is also not perfect. So we have to deal with those things. So that's the way it goes. We are reaching now 10 miles on final. Our speed to 10 is quite fast. Flaps 15, it needs maximum 230 knots. We can go flaps 15. This is going to help us to reduce a little bit the speed. We need to maintain now 160 until 4 miles. Arming the speed brake, and let's see how it goes. So to me, these problems on the VNAV, they are not a really big problem. We have some problems in the real airplane as well. ILS is not centered with the runway most of the times. I don't know if it's a flight factor thing or in general. However, I never flew any other airplane. This is my second flight on the flight factor, so yeah, let's see how it goes. We are now 7.3 miles, 2,200. The speed is coming down. We can set gear down. It's going to help us reduce the speed. 2,000 flaps 20 is a good idea. Now at some point we need to be fully stable by 1000 feet. What we really want is to be at 1500 with landing flaps, so I'm going to select flaps 30, open the landing checklist here, but we are maintaining speed 160 until 4 mile, which is this arc here. So we are going to have around 1500 landing checklist complete. We are ready to land, we just have to reduce our speed. So as you can see, landing checklist complete, 1500, we are all set. Roll out and flare armed, land 3. The only thing that we need at 4 miles to the runway, which is this arc, reduce our speed to approach speed of 133. 4.2, 4.1, 4.0, and now we can set 133. And missed approach today is to 4000, 4000 set. All set for our landing. So we are going to cross 1000 feet stable, just the speed to go. In the company that I fly, this speed can be fluctuating up to 500 feet from
1000.
that point. It needs to be on the approach speed. Of course, only wind fluctuations. So there we are, ready to land. The airplane was supposed to follow glide slope slightly better. This looks like me flying like a manual flight, but anyway, it's getting there. It's getting there. Manual flight, flight director, and let's fly this airplane now. We can keep flying the flight director. We have a displaced threshold, so we
500.
want to make sure we do not land short. We are aiming for the touchdown zone around
400.
1500 feet.
Approaching minimums.
We are getting low.
300.
I'm going back up to profile. Follow flight director. Now I'm going visually because this ILS is not perfectly aligned.
200.
I will have to go. Yeah, now we are on 2 and 2. Wind is coming from the left, only 5 knots. 2 and 2. I need to keep going down, otherwise I'm going to stay high.
100.
Yeah, crossing threshold at 50 feet.
50. 40.
I
30. 20.
idle.
10.
Whoop. Hard landing. Well, reverse as normal. Only reverse, idle reverse. Not a very good landing as the first one, but a better takeoff than the first one. So manual brakes. Out of reverse. Auto brake. And I can take this. Camera. Now as we get out of the runway, I can start to bring to our taxi speed. We have to do this turn maximum 50 knots. We stopped before. I was expecting to stop. So we are going to stop here. And in real life we are going to get clearance to cross this runway. We got the clearance, so we can continue straight ahead. And then we are going to taxi right on Kilo, left on Foxtrot 4. Yeah, right on Kilo, left on Foxtrot 4. So while we are taxiing out of the runway,
2,
landing,
right.
they are lights, they are still on. I can take weather and terrain. Auto brake to off. Flaps to up. As we are getting out of the runway, transponder to transponder, and the lights, landing lights we don't need anymore. Turn off we don't need, and strobe we don't need. Take us off, we can cancel. And that's it. Oh, try go around. Yeah, I did not try a go around. Sorry Renato, I'm going to try a go around next flight, okay? I have a couple of things to do. It's almost 2 in the afternoon here, and I have to eat. That's important, right? I have to eat, and then I'm going to wait my kids to arrive from school. That is happening really soon. Our speed 11 knots, too fast, less than 10 for this turn. Now it's okay. So there we go. Well done. I think the ILS not being aligned is an explained thing. Yeah, I don't know why it's an explained thing. It's a Microsoft Flight Simulator thing. My god, man, the guys, they cannot simply align the ILS with the runway in these simulators. Used to be so easy on the FSX. I don't know, man. Yeah, this is the thing. People are talking about the ILS position, but why is so difficult to position the ILS at the right place, man? Sorry guys, I know it's not maybe a laminar or something. Actually the airports in X-Plane, they look much better than the ones in the flight sim, because you just have a system that allows community to perform these enhancements, but then the ILS is not aligned. It's crazy. Okay, now I will turn to the final on Foxtrot 6. So I'm going to bring this down to something like, yeah, I think 7 knots, 6 knots is okay for this turn. And there we go. Five knots to go in initially, and once we cross the red lights, no more than 3, ideally between 1 and 2. Now that we are aligned, we can take taxi light off. Oh, Gabriel. Fala, Gabriel. Pronto pro churrasco? Não foi bom pouso, mas tudo bem. My friend here, Gabriel, is right now flying the real thing, but it's an Airbus thing. Yeah. Good friend that flies the 350. Really good airplane as well. Not as good as the 777 though, right? Okay, let's take this outside, and I'm going to use those markings to stop the airplane. 777 is the last marking. Whoa. Whoa. Can go slowly forward. Whoa. Up. Yeah, this is the place, more or less. I don't know why my speed brake was not retracted. Parking brake set. APU running. Fuel control to cut off. Passengers seatbelts to off. Hydraulics to off. Fuel pumps off. Beacon off. We are missing here flight directors. We are missing here transponder to standby, and then we can do, you see, now we have the engine shutdown indication that was not there before the flight. Anyway, not a mistake. So brake source, it's not the checklist that was supposed to be there, because we already shut down the engine, so was not supposed to be any checklist at this stage. And then shutdown parking brake, we can get some shocks maybe. So if we go on menu, airplane, ground service, shocks, GPU 1, 2, air conditioning, stairs, 2 stairs, and so on. Let's see when the shocks come in. Right now we don't have, so parking brake is set, shutdown checklist is complete. And oh, I forgot about minimums reset. We can do it both sides. Cancel the vehicles, verify status message, it's all correct. Still waiting for the primary and external power. Oh, the doors are auto, so how can we disarm those doors? Airplane, doors, here. I think they are now in, doors are manual, yes. Oh, now we have the primary, secondary, we can turn APU off, specs can go off, and recirculation fans as well, because we are connecting external air. This cargo air conditioning forward is another completely wrong message. I don't know what they are simulating here anyway. Okay, let's assume that bus is coming to take the passengers, and we can shut everything down, including ADU, emergency lights to off. Specs, they are off. Basically, the airplane stays like this. We can only turn the navigation lights to off. Master caution, cancel. Master caution is not supposed to happen at this stage when the engines are shut down. You do not have the checklist and you do not have the master caution. Otherwise, it's going to be blinking all the time because many things are happening, and this 80 message, just as on the beginning of the flight, this is wrong. And shift G to get jetway. Yep, but in this case I am happy with the stairs. Somehow we managed to set up the stairs all the way towards the jetway, because it's slightly difficult to get this from BFB. I think you need to go somewhere and change on the airplane. I will never remember. I think simulation, ground operations, and you need to set here connect via gate. So if I set connect via gate, yeah, then the stairs are removed and I can press Shift G, or somehow I can get, what is the one? Shift G? Yeah, I don't know if the gates are coming. Connect via gate. Maybe I need to go another time on the airplane, ground service and gate. Yeah. Maybe this is going to bring the gate to us eventually. Anyway, fuel pressure, engine left was right, took a long time to appear, and now secure checklist is complete. In the real airplane we leave like this to the maintenance. So a couple of things that I want to discuss, and I'm going to go into my full camera here so you can see my board. Let's see. Good things about the flight factor. First thing, they improve from version 1. Now this is the most important thing for me. Version 1 was impossible to fly, explain 11, maybe even 10 and so on. Good thing the developers developers, they are in direct contact with the community on the Discord, so you can have access to developers. This is a really good point in the favor of Flight Factor. Another good thing I think is the immersion. If you use the voice controls, however, I'm not going into these right now before they fix a couple of things for a normal flight. So things that I did not like about or they have to improve. Some status message, especially related to how can I improve this? Camera. Maybe brightness, more contrast. White balance. I don't really know what I did. I'm not going to improve it. I will have to do it before. But you can see status, especially related to the ADRU. Okay, the one that we have right now is ADRU. It was not supposed to be there. Okay. Then checklist. I already talked to them about the normal checklist. Two checklists that they are not nice. Before start and before taxi. Those are the two checklists they have to improve. And to improve, especially before start, they have to modify a few things about the cockpit door. Few things that I do not talk about it, and I have no clue if it's better or worse on the airplane. Sound. I do not care about sound, so I cannot talk about sound. Another thing that is good or is the similar in PMDG, Flight Factor, and I believe in the real airplane, is the VNAV. It's not perfect during the descent, but it works, especially close to the ground. It works quite fine, and I still need to do an RNPAR to see if this airplane is capable of. Wow. Then something that is completely off, do not use Flight Factor for failures. At least the failures that I tried, they do not work. Okay, so let me see if I can give you a better indication. So sound and VNAV, PMDG and Flight Factor, I don't know. I cannot really, well, sound I cannot tell you much because I really don't care. VNAV, it looks like the real airplane, maybe a few things that they can adjust, but it's not a big deal. What I like about this airplane, it's a really nice improvement for version 1. You have good access to developers, and the immersion that they have, even though I'm not using, it's really nice when you talk about the ground equipments and the cabin crew and so on. It's something that once the bugs are solved, maybe I'm going to use at least the first officer to ask for the flaps and so on, even though I have my controls here. And then things that they have to improve. Well, status for the ADRU message. Remove that ADRU message from this point. Make how can I say this? Make an exception to this ADRU message. When ADRU is off, do not show ADRU message. Something that they have to create on their lines there. Okay, for the checklist, before start, for the cockpit door model is not nice. The way that they do it, the door is supposed to be open or closed, it doesn't matter, and this and the indication on the door for the locking mechanism can be anywhere. They are independent, so they have to improve that, to improve the before start. And then on the before taxi, the engine anti-ice and wing anti-ice. So basically the anti-ice, it's not sensed by the airplane. There is a safety concern about it. The airplane can know where the switches are. However, this is not part of the check that the crew have to do before every taxi, so it needs to be we'll say manually verbalized by the crew, so it's not a closed loop item. Also, the recall is not a closed loop item. You do not press that during the checklist, you have to do it before the checklist. So those are the 4 items that they have to improve on the checklist. Actually, I didn't told you about the passenger signs, and it's not a big deal. It's okay the way it is, but those other 3 they have to change. And the failures, we are going to talk about failures once they fix these small things. But if you take into account that for a normal flight, I'm talking about one important one that I remember now is the ICAS. This is important. ICAS, engine shutdown on the first flight. Okay, I'm going to show you this right now when we go back to the Microsoft Flight Simulator or the X-Plane screen. If you make a recall right here, you are going to see that we have the ICAS engine shutdown. Let's get really close to this. As you can see, engine shutdown is here. It is good, it's supposed to be here. However, on the first time that you load this airplane, it is supposed to be here as well, because the engines are shut down. So if you are loading a shutdown airplane, the engine shutdown message should be there on the first flight of the day. I noticed that once you shut down on arrival, the message stays. So something that they have to do, like the ADRU, not to show, this is the opposite. They have to show the engine shutdown message on the first flight of the day. And then to finalize, Swish/E22310, hello, just join, PMDG or flight factor. As of now, as of today, 3rd of May 2026, PMDG. X-Plane looks more stable, so there is a good chance that they are going to do good things about the flight factor. I noticed that every time Microsoft changes something on MSFS, sometimes it breaks a couple of things on the PMDG and other developers, so they have to rebuild a couple of things, so this sets them back a few steps. So let's see from Sim Update 5 if the things get more stable, and then the developers, they don't have to worry about it and they can start moving forward. But as of now, for a normal flight, PMDG does not have the problems that I showed you. The checklist, the normal checklist, and this is very important, normal checklists in PMDG, they are completely accurate. From Boeing perspective, I'm not talking about my own company, I'm not talking about United, I'm not talking about Emirates. I'm talking from Boeing perspective, normal checklist, it's perfect on PMDG. So people from Flight Factor, just go there and copy those things. I already talked to the developers about it, one of the developers about it. I hope they implement those changes. I don't know how difficult it is to do it. Maybe it's not that simple, but PMDG got it right for the normal checklist. Okay, so copy before start and before taxi from PMDG. The way that they do this is the way that was developed by Boeing. Status message, get rid of the status message, and then from this point, if you get rid of status message, you get 3 items on the checklist that are incorrect, and you included the engine shutdown. I will tell you that for a normal flight, PMDG and Flight Factor will be on the same level. Then later on we are going to move to the non-normal, which Flight Factor has a good start with the deferred items on the checklist. However, the failures that I tried, they are completely wrong. They do not represent the real airplane, and PMDG, it does. We still have some problems with PMDG. The non-normal checklist, they are not good, and some failures that we cannot simulate, like thrust asymmetry compensation and so on, and a couple of things. that I don't know how they are going to do, or if they are going to ever do something about it. Anyway, if you want to train no normals, you have to go PMDG full time as of now. Is the flight model in the FF really as better as everyone says? My personal opinion, after 2 flights with the flight factor 777, it is easier to fly than the PMDG. And the real airplane is even easier than flight factor. Most probably it is easier than the flight factor because you can feel the airplane, you have all your senses working with you on the real thing. So I believe that handling on the flight factor is slightly easier than PMDG. I'm not saying better or worse, it's slightly easier, and then it feels more natural to fly than PMDG. That's it. Are they like the real airplane? No. I still do not like the way I'm taking off on flight factor. It looks more, it does not look natural to me. It looks that it takes too much for the nose to start going up, and then I'm pulling too much to the nose to go up, that I'm afraid of keep pulling it, and then at some point my rotation just stop, and I don't know. It's just different. But landing, for example, I believe that based on the 2 landings that I did, is easier to land the flight factor. So I would say I will give the benefit of the doubt to both developers, because it's not easy to mimic the fly-by-wire system on the 777, and this is not the main thing for me. I fly the real thing. I want to see procedure. I want to see the right messages at the right time. I want to see the right checklist. I want to see the right system behavior for this airplane, and that's something that I can bring to you from my real experience. So thank you for your input, Claudio. Appreciate hearing your feedback on the aircraft. You should definitely tell the flight factor 777 devs about the issues. Yes, I did. I talked to them, especially related about the checklist. I think this is the first step they should worry about, because the status message for the ADRU, it's very subtle. They can do it really easy. And the engine shutdown ACAS message, this is a big thing. This is a big thing because once you enter the airplane, you want to know that the engines are down. Okay, thank you guys. Was almost 3 hours of live stream today. I hope you like the live stream. I hope you like this airplane. Just to summarize, right now I still prefer PMDG. I think flight factor has some small things to correct to get to the point of PMDG in terms of normal flight, and then once we have normal flight, if you want no normal, then PMDG is way ahead, and then we need to see how flight factor is going to develop this no normal as well, having in mind that PMDG is not committing to change the checklist, which is the biggest problem that we have so far for the no normals in PMDG. Valeu, Renato. Thank you, Swiss. Thank you, Flight Pro 777. Obrigado, Gabriel, por aparecer por aqui também. And also there was somebody else in the beginning. It's 3S Yuga 605. Those are the people that send message on this live stream today. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you here again. Bye bye.